Hi everybody and welcome to my next exciting tutorial. My name is Malchanan and today I will show you how you can create a slow motion effect using nothing more than your digital camera, and we are going to take advantage of the interlace, which is basically the method that all DV cams record in. If you don't know what interlace is, just go to your online encyclopedia and type in interlace and you'll know everything about it. Because it would take too much time to explain it to you in this tutorial, and you can just do it on your own. So okay, let's get right to it. Let me delete all these unnecessary files. And let's start by importing some footage. This is our footage that we are going to use. It looks like this. Just a couple of guys moving forward from the camera. Well, you can probably see some artifacting in here, and this is basically because of the interlace, because we have these lines in here. But like I said, just if you don't know what that is, check your encyclopedia so you know what I'm talking about. And we are going to take advantage of the interlace, and to do that, first of all we need to interpret our footage right. So right click on the footage, choose interpret footage main, and in this dialog, if you have separate fields option turned to off, set it to lower field first if you're working in PAL, or to upper field first if you're working in NTSC. Well, basically it doesn't matter in what order you do that, because we can always change that later on. So let's just set it to lower field, preserve edges, and let's click OK. Let's call this clip A. And now we have to duplicate this clip, so select the clip and hit Ctrl D on your keyboard. And let's rename this to clip B. You can rename almost anything in After Effects by selecting it and hitting Enter on your keyboard, not on your numpad, on your keyboard. This is how I did it. And now right click on the second footage, choose Interpret Main, and change this to the upper field first. So we have one as a lower field first, as you can see in here, and upper field first. Now, because we are going to slow our footage down to 50%, we need to pre-compose this. So let's just drag it onto the timeline, or to make new comp button, and we have to double the duration of the composition. So let's type in 30 seconds and 2 frames. And let's do the same for the clip B. "30 seconds, 2 frames. Let's just rename this to something more meaningful. And maybe let's create a folder, footage, and let's put those in here. Okay, we're ready to go. Now we need to create another composition, which will be our final composition. So let's drag one of the clips to the composition. Let's rename this to final. And let's put the second composition in the timeline. So basically what we have now is a 50-second clip, and then a blank space. And this is good. To show you how the separating fields option work in interlace, I will turn this layer on and off, so you can see a slight difference in the frame. And this is basically the same frame. As you can see in here, we are not moving forward or backwards, it's just the same frame. And the whole trick is to make each layer display one frame as 2 frames. So we'll be duplicating frames, so it takes 2 frames to have a difference in an image. So to do that, let's apply time warp effect to both layers, and let's change the method to whole frames, because this method, and this is new in After Effects 7, this uses so-called pixel motion, which measures the motion of all pixels in one frame and in a whole clip, and then tries to calculate where the pixels should be on the frames that we are missing when we are slowing things down. And this is pretty amazing. This gives good results, but in this case we don't need to use this, also because it takes a very long time to render. So let's switch this to whole frames, which basically just duplicates. Let me move forward. Let's change it in here also, so we don't have to wait. Just watch these values in here. As you can see, when I move forward, I get a change every 2 frames. So this is exactly what we need. And now the trick is to make this layer visible every second frame. So on frame 1 we have this layer visible, on the second frame we have this layer invisible, and then on the third frame we have this layer visible again, and so on and so on. And to do that, we can apply a strobe effect. So let's do that now, and let's change the mode to make layer transparent. And this is basically what we need. Just to show you how the strobe light effect works. When I scrub through time, let me just turn this layer off for a second. When I scrub through the timeline, the layer becomes filled with a strobe color, which is white in this case. Let's just change it to red, for example. And this happens in a period for a duration of time. So period is the amount of time that is needed for the strobe effect to turn itself on and off, and the duration is the time that the effect is on. This is the simplest way I can put it. So unfortunately this is second based, not a frame based effect, and this will cause us some trouble because we need to do some math to figure out how much seconds is one frame, right? So we need to calculate this. So let's bring our calculator, and we know that the PAL footage is recorded with 25 frames per second. So let's put 1 second divided by 25 frames, and this is what we get. So let's just put this value in here. And we want the period to be twice as big, twice as long. And this way we should have this red color visible every other frame. And this is it. It works pretty nice. So let's now change the mode to make layer transparent. And it's still working. Let me just turn the transparency button in here. Okay, and now let's turn on the second layer. Let's just do a quick RAM preview of this. Looks pretty nice, and this is basically it. It's all that it takes to change your 25 frames per second camera to 50 frames per second camera, or if you're working in NTSC, 30 frames to 60 frames. And just imagine what you could do if you pre-compose this and then apply the time warp effect with pixel motion option selected, and then you could have like 25% of the original speed, and it would look pretty amazing. So once again, this is Meltanon. Thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, and stay tuned for more exciting tutorials on my website www.meltanon.com. See you there. Cheers.